Okay, you got about a 5.5 inch cylinder, maybe 5 3/4. Your bottom has been compressed, your sides are straight, and you want to shape it. Okay, it's a really good idea to have an idea of the shape that you want before you start. Okay, because if you don't, you might get lucky, but usually it helps to have some type of idea. Right now, I'm kind of thinking of maybe flaring out the bottom a little bit, maybe bringing it in. I'm going to show you how to bring it in, and then maybe kind of allowing it to flare out, kind of like a suggestion of a female form. Okay. Again, when you're shaping your piece, it's still connected to the wheel head. You should still be very plastic. Okay. You don't have to have any stop in between. What you want to do is you take your sponge or your half sponge, kind of damp. You're going to put it in and you're going to press from the inside outward to create more of a bulbous effect. So if you'll just keep watching, I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to hold my hand still and I'm going to push out with my sponge at the bottom. What you'll notice, it'll start getting a little fuller down there. Now I'm going to come up very, very slowly. So you see a little rounding. Okay. To make it look more rounded when we're done, what we'll do is we'll come inward with one of our tools there to intensify that. Okay. I can make it a lot wider if I wanted to, but you got to remember, as you bring your clay more out in width, you also lose some of the height. And you will lose some of both in shrinkage. Now I'm using a mid-fire porcelain clay, which has a tendency to shrink a lot. So I'm making this at least 15% bigger than I want, because I know I'm going to deal with those shrinkage. So I'm going to put this back in. I'm going to push out a little more on the bottom. Now next I'm going to do what's called collaring. Dampen my fingers. Collaring is where you want the your piece to get narrower. So you use your two thumbs and your two index fingers, and you would simply hold it where you want that area to get smaller. Now, if you wanted to be gentle, you could come all the way up. But you can kind of see it's coming in a little bit. I'm not going to do it at the bottom, because I don't want it to come in at the bottom. I want to have, and I'm loosening up my collaring as I'm coming up, because I want it more in that area. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back and forth, and you're going to go, yeah, maybe I want to push out a little more at that bottom area. Okay. So it's a little more obvious there. Dampen your fingers. I'm going to collar in, and the shape of the top will start to look a little strange. You just gotta have some faith in it. So what I'm doing is I'm narrowing that area, and again, always remove your hands really slow, so you can kind of see it's coming in really nice, very, very nice and gently. Now what I'm going to do is I kind of want, you could have it straight up if you wish, but I kind of want a little more of a flare. So I'm going to put one finger underneath the rim. I'm going to take my other index finger and I'm going to push down from the top. This is a technique that I will show you later that we can use to get some interesting effects on bowls. So I'm just pushing gently. And what's happening is I'm getting kind of that kind of flaring out thing. So if you find it's too much, you can dampen your fingers. If you decide, I don't want quite that flare, you can go back and gently collar it to have maybe a little less. So what you're going to do is just, you're going to go back and forth till you feel you have gotten the shape that you want. Either by collaring in, pushing from the inside out to get that kind of round area. Or again, if you wanted to flare out, again, keep your hands wet. You can feel that kind of tuck. Feel that kind of tug on it. And I'm going to compress the rim. Now, you can get a piece of chamois. Okay, probably a good idea when you're about done. Keep a little piece of chamois. You can cut it from a big piece. It doesn't have to be anything super expensive. It can be a piece that you purchase with your auto supplies. You can run this, pressing it very gently over the rim. Will give you a nice smooth rim. I got the water out on the inside, and the last thing I'm going to do, I kind of like this shape. It's very, very subtle. I'm going to go under here at an angle, and I'm going to push in. Okay. What this is going to do, it's going to give me just a little more lift at the bottom, and I don't mean lift in the sense, it's going to give me more of a visual lift. I'm kind of smoothing this a little bit. I'm going to push in just a little bit there. Come up. Now, if you wanted to add lines, or if you wanted to do some type of underglaze painting at this time, this would be like a phenomenal time to do that. I'm not going to do that. Probably going to create my own paper transfer, something like that later on. Look inside again. Make sure you don't have any water in that bottom. Okay. Make sure you've got a smooth rim. And then what I would do is put a little water on the wheel head once you have the shape that you like. And then I would simply cut it off and lift it. Okay. If you decide you want to do some stamps on it, let it firm up just a little bit. Cover it with loose plastic so it gets a very, very soft leather heart, and then I would press into it. When I press stamps in, I'm always careful to support the other side and do that. So that would be how you would shape a small cylinder for like a flower pot or working on a vase.